Building a referral-based tutoring business isn't just about being good at your subject. It's about making parents feel like you are a partner. In this video, I share the 3 things I do that have kept clients with me for years and consistently bring in warm referrals. These are small habits that take almost no extra time, but make a huge difference in how parents experience working with me. And hopefully, it will make a difference in how parents experience working with you in your own tutoring business. I'm Daisy Luce. I help others build a flexible, profitable online tutoring business like me. Welcome to the Tutor Life. So, many years ago, several years ago, I had to take my kids to the dentist when they were quite young. And at the time, my oldest was 4 years old. We were still kind of new to the dentist and going and getting used to it and getting them comfortable. And so we got there. They went back with the dentist. This dentist did not allow parents to go back to. That's fine. Within about 60 seconds, the dentist was right back out into the lobby to see me. And he had this extremely concerned look on his face. It almost looked like a scowl to me. Maybe I was overreading it, but it looked very distraught. And he said, "Your son has a huge cavity. This is an emergency. We have to fill it today." And my brain started spinning, and I was like, "What?" I brushed my kids' teeth every day. I was like, "What do you mean? You can see it?" He was like, "Yes, he's missing half of his tooth." I was very confused. So I said, "Can I see it?" And he said, "Yes." And he took me back. He was very concerned, but it was more than concern. It was crossing over into starting to question me on my parenting. Are you brushing his teeth for him? At this age, they shouldn't be having juice all the time. You shouldn't be letting them have sugar. He's giving me this speech as we're walking back to see my child's tooth. We walk into the room. The dentist is still very alarmed. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, this is horrible if my child has a cavity, but isn't this what the dentist sees all the time? Like, why are we this alarmed? So I say, "Okay, can I see?" I was expecting to see an X-ray or something, but no, they just like had him open his mouth. And sure enough, on one of his back teeth on his molars, there looked to be a huge black hole. Like half his tooth was just missing. It was I was very confused to say the least. And none of this is making any sense to me. I brushed his teeth twice a day. I'd never seen this black hole in there before. And it suddenly dawned on me like, wait, this isn't a cavity. This is something else. And I just looked and I said, have you touched it? And they touched it and it moved. And then I was like, wait, he had blueberries this morning at breakfast. Do you think that might be a blueberry skin? And it was. And all of that stress, that alarmism. My child's sitting here, he'd been hearing the doctor talk like this, the dentist talk like this, extremely agitated, almost shame filled. I'm not trying to read into this too much. I'm not a super sensitive person typically, but I will tell you this experience was one of my worst I've ever had at a dentist. And I like going to the dentist. I we have lots of dentists and dental assistants even in our family, in my family. But this experience was very, um, very confusing and very negative feeling for me as a parent. Needless to say, my son got his teeth cleaned. We left that dentist and we didn't go back. I didn't go back to that dentist again. If number one, why had they not even tried to touch it before they were that alarmed that it was this huge hole in his tooth? Number 2, we had just been there 6 months ago. Maybe you can lose half of a tooth that fast, but all of this is just still confusing to me a little bit to this day. Now, why do I tell you this extreme story when we're talking about tutoring? Well, to get to the point, how you deliver bad news to parents of your tutoring students is important. Negative updates can make you feel really judged, embarrassed, and it can make you feel like a really bad parent if you're getting these negative updates about your child. It makes you not feel motivated. um, it can make you feel defensive, as I'm sure we're all well aware. And you can start quietly thinking about switching dentist, as I did, or switching tutors. And tutors unfortunately do this all the time. They lead with what is wrong, what the student is doing, instead of what is going well. Have you ever heard that saying, when you have some negative news, it takes like 7 positive comments to 1 negative to outdo that negative and to continue to have that positive rapport? Well, I go into tutoring and into my tutoring business very similarly. I don't want to be like the dentist. I don't want parents who already feel guilty, like they're not doing enough, feel more shame and feel more piled on by me. I want to walk beside them. I want to be a helper. I want to be a cheerleader. I want to be their child's biggest fan because they're coming to me in a time of need and they aren't able to solve this problem for themselves. They need my help, and I want to do it in a way that helps them feel confident, fulfilled, and excited about getting the help, not shamed for needing the help. I want to be someone they trust, someone they brag about to other parents. So, there are 3 simple things I do that make parents feel seen, informed, and confident in me. None of them take a lot of time, but together they've helped me build a client list that comes back sibling after sibling and a client list that refers me to everyone they know. So, tip number 1, check in regularly with parents even when there's nothing to report. With online tutoring, I've seen this switch because I did used to tutor in person before online tutoring was a thing. And when I was in person, parents were often dropping the students off or picking them up. We'd always have a couple minutes to chat, and it was a natural filling in every time we saw each other. But now with online tutoring, I don't see the parents very often, if ever. Sometimes I never hear from them, which is fine. I can reach out though with I can reach out so that I'm not just invisible. They're just sending me all this money and they're not really sure what's going on. They are parents of teenagers, let's remember, and teenagers might not be telling their parents every detail of our tutoring session. I wouldn't expect that they would. So silence can feel like neglect, even when you're doing great work. I don't want that to be the case. So what do? I send a brief update with every monthly invoice for sure. So at least once a month with just a few lines, what we've been working on, maybe one win from the month or something that's coming up, maybe a good luck on their test this week. Let them know something that we've been covering. It takes 3 to 5 minutes just to send a couple brief sentences to update, and it completely adds to my working relationship with parents. Okay, number 2, always lead with a positive, even when delivering bad news. So back to the dentist. The problem wasn't the feedback. What if my child had had a cavity? That's not the end of the world. We would deal with it and we could handle it in a productive way moving forward, how to make sure that we prevented it next time or what we could do extra to help. The problem was the delivery, not the actual news. There was no cushion, there was no acknowledgement of what was going right. It went straight to hair on fire, what's wrong, and made me feel, like I said, like a really bad parent. So tutors can fall into this trap as well, especially when they're trying to be helpful and honest. I'm not saying you shouldn't be honest. We have to deliver the bad news. sometimes. But when a parent asks how things are going and you launch immediately into the gaps, the missing homework, the ADD the child is struggling with, the test score that came back low, even if all that's true, the parent is going to feel like their kid and by extension themselves are failing. So I always start with something real and positive before I deliver anything hard. Always. I don't shy away from the negative news that I have to give, but I definitely try to deliver it in a positive way. There is always positive things you can find that even when you have the negative that you have to deal with as well. So lead with what's working, what you've noticed, what you genuinely appreciate about the student, then deliver the harder news. The parent will hear it completely differently. For example, Maya is really starting to trust herself in the math section that we've been working on this last couple of weeks. I can see her hesitating less. The reading comprehension part is still where we need to put the most focus on, though. So that's going to be our big push for this month. If you can be reading with Maya for 10 to 15 minutes per night, that will help and go a long way to help. That would be something that a way I would deliver the news. Or the positive is very, very specific and specific to the child, not just generic, not just she's doing great. That's not the same. I want to speak to this parent about their child. This also models the language tutors should use with students. Now, that's a whole nother video I want to do, is just how I build rapport with students. But that also is a big part to your job as a tutor as well. Okay, so tip number one, check in regularly with parents, especially if you're tutoring online. Tip number two, always lead with a positive, even when you have bad news to deliver. And tip number three, I love this one. Tell parents you enjoy working with their child. It sounds almost too simple, but it's the one that gets the most emotional response every single time. These are their babies. They have loved and nurtured and cared for them, and they still many times even see them as a little baby, even if they're a teenager in high school now. They don't want to hand them over to just anyone, especially someone who doesn't want the best for their child or someone who doesn't see their child's full potential. Parents worry constantly about their kids. I know myself as a parent. I wonder, is my child being difficult when I'm not there to witness it, or not there to guide them or help them with their manners? Are they falling behind their peers academically? Are they too much to handle? Those parents have probably had to sit in on more than one parent-teacher conference where the underlying premise, or maybe the direct line, was your child is the problem. When you tell a parent sincerely, not as a throwaway line, not just making things up, but when you tell them sincerely with a specific detail that you really enjoy working with their child, it lands like a gift. It speaks to their heart. That I would, as a parent, I would rather hear a compliment about my child any day than about myself. It is so heartwarming. And you don't have to manufacture this. I'm not asking you to make this up and just say random things about how you love working with a kid. That's going to come across, it's going to be see-through. Parents will know right away if you're just saying things. But if you've chosen to be a tutor, there's probably something genuinely enjoyable about almost every student you work with. Name it, be specific, say it out loud to the parent, send them a quick text after a tutoring session, or like I said, at the end of the month with the invoice update. Be specific. She works so hard, hits harder than she's great. Parents share these moments. This is where a lot of referrals are born. When they recognize you are partnering with them to want the best for their child, they will love you for it. and they will want to give that to other parents too. They're not going to gatekeep on your tutoring. They're going to want to spread the news. So, a tutoring business that runs on referrals is the most sustainable kind. I don't do ads, I don't do cold outreach, I don't even do any tutoring platforms and have to pay their fees. I just have parents who trust me enough to send their friends my way. And you can do the same thing with your business, whether you already have a tutoring business going or you're thinking of starting one. Implement this right away from the beginning in order to grow your business with referrals and with families that want to keep you from sibling to sibling to sibling for years. The trust is built session by session, update by update, interaction by interaction. The three things I've shared today take almost no extra time in your business, but they will change the entire texture of your relationship with parents. You can be the tutor parents brag about, the one they call first when a sibling needs help, the one they recommend in the school Facebook group without even being asked. And it starts with how you make them feel. If you want to see exactly how I build positive relationships with students, click the subscribe button below. Stay tuned for the next video and we'll talk about it there. Bye, friend.